was the party of emancipation.
I hate how she said everyone in what.
Once upon a time, every student of history, and that meant pretty much everyone with a high school education, knew this. The Democratic Party was the party of slavery and Jim Crow, and the Republican Party was the party of emancipation.
I hate how she said everyone in with a high school education. Meanwhile, I'm like 3-4 years through college, finna get my master's degree in engineering, and I never knew that, bro. Like, you're probably judging me. It's okay, you can judge me. I'm like, whatever, freedom of speech, whatever. But bro, I've done a video regarding this. I'm like, did this really switch? Bro, I did not know that, bro. But this video is just going to discuss why they switched. So I'm assuming it's a fact that they switched. So this joint is just discussing why. Let's get right into this joint. Hope you have a good time.
And racial integration. Democrats were the Confederacy and Republicans were the Union. Jim Crow Democrats were dominant in the South and socially tolerant Republicans were dominant in the North. But then, in the 1960s and 70s, everything supposedly flipped. Suddenly, the Republicans became the racists and the Democrats became the champions of civil rights. Fabricated by left-leaning academic elites and journalists, the story went like this. Republicans couldn't win a national election by appealing to the better nature of the country. They could only win by appealing to the worst. Attributed to Richard Nixon, the media's all-purpose bad guy, this came to be known as the Southern strategy. It was very simple. Win elections by winning the South. And to win the South, appeal to racists. So the Republicans, the party of Lincoln, were to now be labeled the party of rednecks. But this...
So let me get this straight, bro. Because they decided to appeal to the southern states, they were automatically labeled racist. You know how dumb that is? I have family in southern states. So if you're from a southern state, if any politician appeals to you, they're racist and you're racist. You're not actually racist. But I'm just saying that that's the line of thinking that goes into it, which is completely idiotic. I don't even know why anybody would say that. That's just dumb. That's dumb, man. That's dumb.
The story of the two parties switching identities is a myth. In fact, it's 3 myths wrapped into one false narrative. Let's take a brief look at each myth in turn. Myth number 1. In order to be competitive in the South, Republicans started to pander to white racists in the 1960s. Fact, Republicans actually became competitive in the South as early as 1928 when Republican Herbert Hoover won over 47% of the South's popular vote against Democrat Al Smith. In 1952, Republican President Dwight Eisenhower won the southern states of Tennessee, Florida, and Virginia. And in 1956, he picked up Louisiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia too. And that was after he supported the Supreme Court decision in Brown versus Board of Education that desegregated public schools, and after he sent the 101st Airborne to Little Rock Central High School to enforce integration. Myth number 2, Southern Democrats, angry with the Civil Rights Act of 1964, switched parties. Fact.
Why am I always getting lied to? Like, bro, I'm gonna go on a little rant, bro. Why do these parties think they can own me? If you like, oh, let's appeal to this part. Let's appeal to the South now. Oh, but if you appeal to them, then you're... No, bro, I'm a human. If they appeal to me, then they appeal to me. If they don't, then they don't. But the fact that a party thinks like... Bruh. All I'm saying is a lot of this stuff is very manipulative, man. Like, I've been getting told that, oh, this side is racist. No, this side is racist. No, this is a good side. This is the bad side. Bro, I'm tired. I am tired of hearing this, man. I am so tired. I don't know. I'm just tired, bro. Like, and y'all probably like, you're over exaggerating. But y'all, I'm not not that old. So when I listen to stuff like this is like news to me because this is not taught in schools. And I'm not blaming schools for not teaching this. Schools taught me like the basic information I need to know for what I'm trying to do in life. But this stuff is news to me. Of course I knew the party switch because y'all keep telling me the party switch. But then it's all these myths, all these facts, all these things that happen. Like, bruh, give me a break, man. This is exhausting.
Of the 21 Democratic senators who opposed the Civil Rights Act, just one became a Republican. The other 20 continued to be elected as Democrats or were replaced by other Democrats. On average, those 20 seats didn't go Republican for another 2.5 decades. Myth number 3. Since the implementation of the Southern strategy, the Republicans have dominated the South. Fact, Richard Nixon, the man who is often credited with creating the Southern strategy, lost the Deep South in 1968. In contrast, Democrat Jimmy Carter nearly swept the region in 1976, 12 years after the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And in 1992, over 28 years later, Democrat Bill Clinton won Georgia, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia.
It's almost as if people in these states are humans and they're allowed to vote differently every single election. So, bro, y'all don't know the extent of which this video annoys me. Not this video, but I'm saying like learning this information. Because when they say, oh, we're Democrats, so we should automatically have your vote, it's kind of like they're not really looking at us as humans, as if my personal opinion, what I personally want in life, is just kind of grouped into like a ball of what you should want. Or you're a young black man from this state, you should vote this way. You wear hoodies, oh, he's going to vote this way. No, I'm a human. I think differently. Same way you think differently. So when I watch these videos, when it says Republicans only appeal to white Southern races, y'all don't know how disrespectful that is. Because you're assuming every white person from, let's say, Georgia or Alabama or Kentucky or whatever, I don't know all the states, well, I don't know all the red states, is under one demographic. That's extremely disrespectful. It's not true either.
The truth is, Republicans didn't hold a majority of Southern congressional seats until 1994, 30 years after the Civil Rights Act. As Kevin Williamson of National Review writes, if Southern rednecks ditched the Democrats because of a civil rights law passed in 1964, it is strange that they waited until the late 1980s and early 1990s to do so. They say things move slower in the South, but not that slow. So what really happened? Why does the South now vote overwhelmingly Republican? Because the South itself has changed. Its values have changed. The racism that once defined it doesn't anymore. Its values today are conservative ones, pro-life, pro-gun, and pro-small government. And here's the proof. Southern whites are far more likely to vote for a black conservative like Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina than a white liberal. In short, history has moved on.
It's almost as if people look at what you stand for rather than the color of your skin. And this is the problem. This is the biggest problem I have. When you look at statements that say, I'm trying to find it. I don't even know if I can find it. The myth. It was myth 1, I think. I don't even know if I can find it. In order to be competitive in the South, Republicans started to pander to white racists in the 1960s. That was myth number 1. The reason that that's a problem is because you're assuming that majority of people who are white in the South are racist. And you're like, that's not what it's saying. But let's talk about it. If you're winning the South consistently, in order to win, you have to get a majority of votes. So if they're competitive now, that means a majority or a large portion of people of this skin color in this area are racist. Don't y'all think that's kind of profiling? Like you're kind of making a vague or an unjust generalization of people who live in these areas. And I'm not even saying it's false. I don't know if it's false. I think it's false because it's just not realistic. But it's extremely disrespectful. When we make generalizations like that of people in the South, of white people in the South, what's stopping that same line of reasoning for people to make generalizations for people who look like me? That's my problem. Because when people make generalizations of people who are black or who wear hoodies or who go outside like this is the same line of reasoning they use. In order to be like that's the same line of reasoning. And I hate that, man, because it's wrong. It just pisses me off so much.
Like other regions of the country, the South votes values, not skin color. The myth of the Southern strategy is just the Democrats' excuse for losing the South, and yet another way to smear Republicans with the label racist. Don't buy it. I'm Carol Swain, professor of political science and law at Vanderbilt University for Prager University.
Thank you to her. But yeah, videos like this, they really upset me on a deeper level because it's so much generalizations in it. It's so much in these type of videos. Or not the type of video, but the message of the myths. Because when you sit here and say like, oh, they only got people in the South because they're racist. That's the same reasoning people use to profile people who look like me. That's the same reasoning. That's the same exact line of thinking. And ironically, it's from the same party. Not saying I'm not that party, but it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating here. If you disagree with me in the comments, please let me know. I'm young and I'm learning. If you have any thoughts about this video, let me know. And I'll see y'all.